In the frozen silence of Antarctica, a ship became trapped in ice and then simply vanished from the world. No distress signal, no survivors reported, just 28 men stranded at the edge of the earth with no way home. And yet, against every logical outcome, not a single one of them would die. It begins in 1914, as the world teeters on the brink of global war. But far from the battlefields of Europe, one man is chasing something far more unforgiving than any army, the last great unexplored frontier on Earth. His name is Ernest Shackleton, and his ambition is simple to describe but nearly impossible to achieve. He wants to cross Antarctica from one side to the other, a journey no human has ever completed. To do it, he assembles a team of sailors, scientists, and adventurers, boarding a sturdy wooden ship named Endurance. It's built to withstand crushing ice, reinforced for the brutal conditions of the southern polar seas. Spirits are high as they leave civilization behind, heading toward a land of endless white and deadly cold. At first, the journey unfolds as expected. The Endurance pushes through icy waters, weaving between floating sheets of frozen ocean. But then something changes. The ice begins to thicken, faster than anticipated. Within weeks, the ship is no longer moving forward. It's trapped, locked in place by a tightening grip of sea ice. At first, Shackleton remains calm. This isn't entirely unexpected. Ships can get stuck in Antarctic ice. The plan is to wait for a shift in conditions, for the ice to loosen its hold. But days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and the ice doesn't move. Instead, it grows stronger. The Endurance is no longer sailing, it's drifting, carried slowly, helplessly, deeper into the frozen wilderness. The crew watches as the horizon becomes a vast, unbroken desert of ice. No open water, no escape routes, just silence. Winter arrives, and with it, darkness. For months, the sun disappears completely. Temperatures plunge far below freezing. The ship groans under the pressure of the surrounding ice, its wooden frame bending and cracking like a living thing under stress. Inside, the crew tries to maintain routine, meals, games, duties, but there's an unspoken tension in the air. They are no longer explorers, they are survivors. Shackleton understands this before anyone else. Quietly, without panic, he begins to shift his mindset. The mission is no longer to cross Antarctica. The mission is to bring every man home alive. And that changes everything. By October 1915, the situation becomes catastrophic. The ice, relentless and indifferent, begins to crush the Endurance. Massive pressure builds from all sides, forcing the ship upward, splintering its beams. The hull buckles, water seeps in. There's no dramatic explosion, no sudden sinking, just the slow, inevitable destruction of their only way home. Shackleton gives the order, abandon ship. The crew gathers what they can, supplies, lifeboats, food, and equipment, and steps out onto the frozen surface. Behind them, the Endurance groans one last time and disappears beneath the ice. Now they are alone. No ship, no communication, no rescue coming. Just 28 men standing on drifting ice hundreds of miles from the nearest land. At this point, most expeditions would collapse into chaos. Fear, desperation, and hopelessness would take over. But Shackleton does something remarkable. He refuses to let that happen. He establishes order immediately. Everyone has a role. Daily routines are enforced. Morale becomes his top priority. He knows that survival isn't just about food or shelter, it's about mindset. They set up camp on the ice, calling it Ocean Camp. Days are spent rationing supplies, hunting seals for food, and waiting. Always waiting. The ice continues to drift, carrying them unpredictably across the frozen sea. But the ice is not stable. Cracks form without warning. Entire sections break apart overnight. The men sleep knowing that the ground beneath them could split at any moment. Eventually, Shackleton makes a critical decision. They cannot stay on the ice. They need to reach land. Using lifeboats salvaged from the Endurance, the crew prepares for an almost impossible journey, navigating through freezing waters filled with jagged ice in small open boats with minimal protection. When the ice finally begins to break apart, they launch. What follows is a brutal, relentless ordeal. The men battle freezing spray that soaks their clothes and turns instantly to ice. Waves crash over the sides. Sleep becomes nearly impossible. Every hour is a fight against exhaustion and exposure. After days of this, they reach a small, desolate strip of land known as Elephant Island. It's the first solid ground they've stood on in nearly 500 days. But there's a problem. Elephant Island is not a place of rescue. It's remote, rarely visited, and far outside normal shipping routes. No one is coming to find them here. Shackleton knows this immediately. If they stay, they die. So he makes his most daring decision yet. He selects 5 men and prepares one of the lifeboats, just 22 feet long, for an 800-mile journey across the most dangerous ocean on Earth, the Southern Ocean. Their destination is South Georgia Island, where a whaling station offers the only chance of rescue. It's a journey that, on paper, shouldn't be survivable. Massive waves, freezing temperatures, constant storms, and navigation using only basic tools. Before he leaves, Shackleton addresses the men staying behind. He promises them something simple but powerful. He will come back. And then he sets sail. The journey is almost beyond comprehension. Towering waves crash over the tiny boat. Ice forms on every surface, threatening to weigh it down and capsize it. The men take turns bailing water constantly, fighting to keep the vessel afloat. Navigation is nearly impossible. The sky is often obscured, making it difficult to determine their position. One small error could mean missing the island entirely and disappearing into open ocean forever. But against all odds, after 16 days at sea, they reach South Georgia Island. It's a miracle. But the ordeal isn't over. They've landed on the wrong side of the island, far from the whaling stations. Between them and rescue lies a mountainous, uncharted interior of glaciers and jagged peaks. No maps, no trails, just raw terrain. Shackleton, along with 2 others, sets out on foot. They climb over ice-covered ridges, slide down steep slopes, and navigate through unknown territory, driven by sheer determination. After 36 hours of continuous movement, they finally reach civilization. For the first time in over a year and a half, Shackleton can communicate with the outside world. Now comes the final test, rescuing the rest of his crew. Multiple attempts are made to reach Elephant Island, but each time, sea ice blocks the way. Ships are forced to turn back. Weeks pass, then months, but Shackleton doesn't give up. Finally, on the 4th attempt, a small vessel breaks through. As it approaches the island, the men who were left behind spot it on the horizon. At first, they can't believe it. Then they see him. Shackleton has returned. Every single man is alive, not one lost. In a situation where survival seemed nearly impossible, leadership, resilience, and unwavering determination made the difference. What makes this story so powerful isn't just the survival itself, it's how it happened. Shackleton never allowed despair to take hold. He adapted constantly, shifting goals as conditions changed. He prioritized people over pride, abandoning the original mission without hesitation when it became clear that survival was at stake. In the end, the journey of the Endurance wasn't a failure. It became one of the greatest survival stories in human history. Because sometimes the most important victories aren't about reaching your destination.